All right, we are live from the Harrelson Trumpets showroom, and I'm going to film a video today that answers this question: why are modular mouthpieces able to solve your playing problems more quickly? And to answer this question, I'm going to walk you through the family of modular mouthpieces that we offer and explain all the components. Some of you have seen this before, and some of you have never heard of the 5mm, or maybe you've heard of it but you don't know why people are buying it, or really what this is all about. So I'm going to give you a history, and I'm going to give you a lesson on how it works, and hopefully I can keep this in focus in front of this camera, because a lot of my videos are showing my full body or the showroom or the shop or a trumpet, and not that many are close-ups of the mouthpieces. And that's because we have a hard time focusing mobile phones on one specific object in front of me. So without talking any more about that, I want to try to get this all in here, and then I'm going to film a second video and put it on YouTube. It's kind of a duplicate of this one, but not a live video, so hopefully it focuses a little better. See, if I keep my hand there, it wants to focus. So I'm going to hold on to this mouthpiece while I talk. So what is the modular mouthpiece, and why did I come up with this idea, and when did it happen? The original idea for this mouthpiece, I'm not sure when I first had it, but I was playing around with making mouthpieces all the way back in 1994. So 94, 95, I started modifying mouthpieces, changing the throats and the backbores, and making them more efficient by changing the design. And into the later 90s, I really focused on building horns and making the mouthpieces fit those. I didn't do a ton of mouthpieces. I did as much as I could. But that's when I came up with my first large throat mouthpiece, was probably in about 1995. And when I think about it, that's 22 years ago now. So I have been doing it for quite a while. The modular mouthpiece itself, the R&D began about 5 or 6 years ago now, and we purchased a CNC lathe specifically to make this mouthpiece. So that is the same machine that we use today, and it took me many years to really get to the point where I could buy a machine and feel comfortable running it, because I had to learn how to machine. So in order to make the mouthpiece a reality, I first had to learn how to do that part of it, which is very important. You can't just buy a machine and make these. It's not a matter of pushing buttons. It's actually a lot of work learning how to do it. So I'm holding this mouthpiece so you can see it. The modular mouthpiece concept really came down to, I wanted to offer any rim. So if you have an existing rim, I wanted to be able to offer that. So we had to buy a coordinate measuring machine. And that machine allows us to scan your existing mouthpiece and at the same time verify that what we have machined is the same as your original. And basically it's this probe that comes down and takes lots of individual points all the way down the profile, and we put those in the computer and then convert them into curves and put them in the machine. It's a very long process. I think the fastest we've ever gotten through the whole process has to be a good 3 or 4 hours before we had finished parts. So it's time consuming. We've scanned a lot of mouthpieces over the last few years, so we can reproduce a lot of different things. This is the Bach 3C, and on this one, let's see if that'll focus. This one, it shows the components in the 5mm system. So we have an 812-614 for the rim, a 614FA is the cup, and the throat is F14521, backbores 2133. I'm going to give you an overview of what that means. Okay, so the rim, 812-614, 812 is the very top point of the rim. And what that means is it's 812 thousandths of an inch. Now that's not a number you've ever seen on any other mouthpieces. But that's the contact point, the initial part that touches your lips. And we measure that, and we name our mouthpiece rims based on that measurement. That allows us to give some idea of what feels comfortable to you on your lips. Now, when you're putting a little bit of pressure on your mouthpiece and your lips, then the inside diameter is what you feel when you play, and that's 614. So 614 is 614 thousandths of an inch, or that's around 5/8 of an inch, just a little under. So these two measurements allow us to make a rim and then designate it in a certain category by the numbers. What this means is if you play on a 614 rim, you're going to be comfortable normally on a 610 to a 620 in that range, and we have scanned multiple brands and models of mouthpieces in that same range, and we know that the shape is different. The outside diameter might be different, this radius on the outside and on the inside, and not just the radius, but there are other parts to the radius. And some mouthpiece makers get real technical about this and define it with lots of numbers. They do that because that's how they're programming their lathe, and it's because they're entering things in using the requirements of the lathe. So you may have seen alpha angles and beta angles and all these extra radiuses. Those things are defined by some mouthpiece makers only because those are the limitations of their programming skills on their lathe. Our programming can be infinite. We can do any curve, we can do any radius anywhere we want, as long as it's physically possible. And so we're not confined to those definitions, and we don't actually care about alpha and beta angles and all these things. The reason we don't care is because no one cared before that came along. Before CNC machines, people were making 5mm or making mouthpieces, and we're just making them modular in the 5mm system so that you can interchange the parts. So if you have a mouthpiece that's 100 years old, that contour was never defined with alpha and beta angles, yet it still worked for somebody. Harry James didn't care about alpha and beta angles. Maybe you do, and you want those reproduced, we can do that. But the way we do it is different than programming the lathe point to point. Rather than doing that, we create exact smooth curves or sharp curves if you want them in the program, and then we post that using what's called CAM software, which is computer-aided machining. And the CAM software I can show you in a different video. That allows us to take any curve and post it into commands for the machine to follow. And then I have to do some hand editing usually, and then we can run the part. So, all of that to say, we can make the rim in any size, any shape, defined any way you like. If you have a napkin sketch and you want to try it, then we can make it for you. And if you want to try something without spending the money to have a full rim machines, we do offer a service where we can 3D print variations for you using a special type of resin that costs us about half as much. So if you want to try a bunch of different things and then see which one works for you, we can set that up for you and send out the plastic parts that have been 3D printed using a very high resolution DLP system. And then once you decide which one you like, you can have it machined in brass. And then of course you could have it plated silver or gold or rose gold. And all of these things are standard options in the 5mm system. So let's say you have your mouthpiece and it's a 3C like this one, and you realize that that's a 614 on the inside diameter. What do you do from there? Well, if you're at Harrelson Trumpets and you're visiting us to be fit for a mouthpiece, then you can try every variation of a 614 or a 610 to 620 diameter. And the reason you would do that is because Marcinkiewicz has a different contour to the rim. And Warburton has different contours. And Monette and GR and Schilke and Yamaha. Even though Schilke and Yamaha are similar, they're still different. Reeves, Dennis Wick, all these different makers have different contours, but we make them in every diameter. So if you like a 3C, then we would say you want to try rims in the 610 to 620 diameter, and from there you can find which one fits you the most comfortably. And which one fits you the best is determined by your playing preferences, your dental structure, the thickness and resilience of your lips, of course your aperture control techniques, all of those things play a part in that. So we don't know which rim profile is going to fit you the best, but we've scanned them all and we've categorized them so you can try them. Now once you have the rim down, I'm going to unscrew this one. so we can see inside. Once you know that you like that rim, then we say that's what you like and you're going to use it. And then we try not to change it ever unless there's some reason. For instance, maybe you've had dental work, or a lot of time has passed and your embouchure has changed, or your technique has changed, or you've grown old enough to where your oral cavity maybe is changed in volume and your lips are different thickness. All those things do happen. But for the most part, when you choose a rim, you're going to stay on it for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Now we move on to the cup. And I'm actually holding the cup in the throat here. But here is the cup. And the cup, this one, is an FA. So the FA is a standard cup shape. And we make 5 different cup shapes that offer different amounts of color and attack. And I'll explain that very simply. If you want to increase the amount of attack that you hear in your playing, whether you're tonguing soft or hard, you're going to hear more or less attack. If you want to increase it, then you would use a compression cup. And orchestral players a lot of times want that, but sometimes even jazz players want more attack. Excuse me. If you want less attack, then you would choose either our triple cup or our V cup. So these are offered in A, which is standard. It's basically the same kind of profile you find in most mouthpieces, like a Bach mouthpiece or a Schilke or a Yamaha. If you want more attack, you would go to a C, which is short for compression. Or if you want even more, you would go to a D, and you can find all these options on our website. And then if you wanted to go to a softer, warmer attack, you can go to a T. And a T has 3 little ridges inside the cup itself. It's a little unusual looking, but it's very effective. It's one of our customers' favorites. And if you want the smoothest, darkest tone and attack, then you would go with a V, which is just like it sounds. It's more like a V cup. So these are our cup variations. We also have cup depths. We offer every depth. The maximum we can put in a cup is 1/2 inch because that's the thickness of the cup. And our F cup is a little bit shallower than a standard Bach C cup. But because our throat has more volume in it, you actually get a bigger, warmer tone with a shallower cup because there's more air volume there. So most people play a little better when they have a shallower cup, and that's why we offer the F as kind of our standard. If you need something deeper, that's not a problem. We offer them in A through P. Technically we actually go even deeper than that, but A through P are kind of the standards. A is our shallowest, which is much shallower than, say, a 14A4A or a Bach 3E. It's shallower than that. And you can go as deep as the deepest flugelhorn cup you can imagine. So cups are in every variation. Here's what I recommend. If you're playing on a standard type mouthpiece right now, like say a 15C4 or a Bach 2C, something like that, you want to go with our F or G depth cups. And those are going to feel very comfortable, and you're going to get a bigger, warmer tone than you did on your original mouthpiece. Now we'll move on to throats. This throat happens to be an F151-21. And I don't know if that'll focus, but we'll try. So F is the same F you saw here. This cup was an F depth, and the throat is an F length. And they have to add up to the same length overall because they have to fit in our B flat body. So when you put it in, you're just going to allow it to be seated a little lower, and when it's assembled in the horn or in the mouthpiece body, it'll press up to the right level. And if you have a G cup, you have to have a G throat. If you have an A cup, you have to have an A throat, so on and so forth. I created that system very simple. Just match the letters and you're done. If you chose a really deep cup and you didn't have a shorter throat that matched in the letter, then the throat would stick up like that, and you obviously would not want that. So you do have to match throats to cups, and there we have a couple put together. Then the next thing you would choose is your backbore, and I'm going to take this one apart. I'm removing the nut, and then I'm removing the backbore, and It's so slippery I can't get it out. I keep slipping here. So let me just take a different backbore because that one has a lot of grease on it. Alright, so we'll take the one out of my personal mouthpiece. This is the backbore, and there are variations on this as well. The inside diameter at the opening and the exit diameter. These are offered in every shank, so you can get these for trumpet, you can get them for cornet, flugelhorn of various tapers. So if you have something unusual, like somebody says you have a French or an American taper or this or that, we do offer all of those, and they do screw right into the same body. Technically, you could play cornet and flugelhorn on the same setup that we had here, which is for B flat. However, there are other bodies that could be better in tune, and I'll explain those here in a minute. All right, so I want to first open this up for questions before I go into it any further. I know it's Friday, everybody's at work. You probably are listening to this when you shouldn't be because you're in the office hiding out instead of in your meeting or doing whatever you should be doing. But if you have the opportunity and you have questions, go ahead and type in your questions because I would like to answer questions throughout this. And I know a lot of you are going to hear this later in the day or over the weekends. And if that's the case, then go ahead and type your questions in if you're watching it later. And I will get back to you in the actual thread itself. I'll type back to you. And if there's something you want to see in the next video, then let me know that as well. So, getting back to backbores. Excuse me. I haven't talked this much in a while. If you want your sound to be very focused, then you would choose a different backbore than if you wanted it to be very spread. If you want a really dark tone, then you could open some parts of this up, including the throat, and get a darker tone. If you want a really bright tone, then you can do that as well. And we can walk you through these options instead of you having to learn all of the options. It's easier just to call us and say, hey, this is what I want, this is why I want it. And then Joe, Christine, or I can help you walk you through it. Or you can get on our website and just chat with Jen, and Jen can help answer those questions as well because she's handling chat most of the time. Even though she's actually in another country this week, she can help us because she is logged in sometimes. Okay, and Joe says, thanks for explaining how simple this is. The numbers can be intimidating, and it seems fairly simple to get this set up. He's asking, how can we order? Well, Joe is just helping me out here, reminding me to mention a few things. It's very easy to place an order for the 5mm. The easiest way is just to pick up your phone and call us. And I know it's the year 2017, nobody calls anybody anymore, but usually our phone is ringing off the hook. I'm filming this video before the phone starts ringing. It's 9 o'clock now. In about 15 minutes, the phone will start ringing all day long because people still call each other. So pick up the phone, call us. Our number is 303-657-2747. I'll post it in the video notes later on, and or you can find it on our website. But if you call us, then Joe or Christine or Jen or I, we can walk you through what's going to work. And you don't have to worry about buying stuff that's not going to fit you because you have 30 days to exchange parts to make it fit right. So for instance, let's say you bought this mouthpiece. Oh cool, that one has the triple cup in it. So we'll see if that will focus. Maybe it will. There it is. That's what the triple cup looks like. So let's say you bought this particular mouthpiece. Let me see what size it is. So this is, it looks like this is a 5C. So let's say you bought this 5C that's sculpted and you started playing it, and after the first few days you said, you know what, I love the mouthpiece except, and let's say the except was the rim. The rim doesn't feel perfectly comfortable. Then you have 30 days to exchange that rim for a different profile or a different diameter. We're really good about that. If you aren't sure about how good we are about that, then just ask on Facebook, ask people to tell you their experiences. We have some people that have worked with us for the last couple years, and they literally have called us every month wanting to change something or adjust the way that they're playing, or just make it fit in different settings. But the first 30 days, we'll exchange that REM for a different shape or a different diameter based on what you tell us so that we can make it fit. We don't want you to buy parts you're not going to use. Recently, we saw a 5mm go up for sale on eBay, which kind of blew my mind because we guarantee the fit. So if you buy a mouthpiece and throw it on eBay, usually that's because they have a no-return policy or because they have a policy where you can't exchange anything. But we're great about that. We want you to be happy with it. We want you to play on the system for life. So we want to get you set up in the first 30 days and make sure it fits. That's why we have the 5mm hotline. That's why you can call that number and we'll help you right away. So if that isn't the problem, but let's say the cup depth isn't too deep, or it's, let's say it is too deep or it's too shallow, we will change the cup depth and of course the throat length to match that. We offer those exchanges in the first 30 days. Now you want to decide on the body and you want to decide on the backbore for the most part in the first order, because it does become a lot of work if we're sending too many parts back and forth. At the same time, we're pretty lenient. If you have a good reason you want to change it out, just let us know. And I should mention this body is sculpted. That's a special variation that we don't always offer. They're made one at a time. Okay, Richard says, I bought a modular in November. Can I buy additional wider throat for a darker, more warm sound? Yes, you can, for sure. Okay, you have a G14522. Can you buy a wider throat? Yes. And what I would recommend is if you want a bigger, darker tone, you can either go to the 14523 and then get a backbore that matches that. Or you can take your backbore bigger. I don't know what the end of your backbore is. Is it a 2233 or a 2235? But they go all the way up to 2237. So this end could be 37, which would be a lot bigger. If you really want to warm it up, another way to do that is to go with a wider throat. So instead of G145, you might try a G155. Okay. So that should, oh, you have a 2235. So Richard, to answer your question, because you have a 2235 right now, you could move to a 2237, which will spread your tone a little more and darken what you're hearing. But to make it purely darker without spreading the tone more, then I would probably go to a G155 and then 22. So because if you do that, you can keep your same backbore and you don't have to make as many changes. All right, and then I'm just trying to read the questions as they pop up. It only lets me see one at a time. Aaron asks, do you make a more traditional body, like Bach? Well, no, I don't, because I'm not Bach. Vincent Bach created his designs, and I respect those, and I've enjoyed them over the years, but I don't copy other people's designs. I create my own. All of our bodies were designed specifically to be more efficient than a standard Bach mouthpiece. I've done quite a few studies on the efficiency of mouthpieces, and a Bach mouthpiece is extremely inefficient, especially compared to the 5mm. Even our lightweight body, like this one, is more efficient than a Bach mouthpiece. This is more efficient than a Bach megatone, even though it looks smaller. And these are two of our lightweight bodies. These are much lighter than any of our others. So yeah, the answer is no, I don't make a traditional looking body. I'm not a traditional trumpet maker or mouthpiece maker. We are on the forefront of the cutting edge engineering. We use a lot of software and new physics concepts, well, newer, to produce higher efficiency designs. So no, they're not going to look like a Bach. In fact, they look very different. Like here is my personal mouthpiece body, and I'll screw the nut on there as well. And as you can see, it doesn't look anything like a standard mouthpiece. Let's see if I can get that on there right. Oh, I think I need a backbore in there, right? So this one is coated in acoustic armor, and it is very different than your standard mouthpiece body. So yeah, if you want a Bach mouthpiece, you're not going to get something modular. But if you want something that looks semi-traditional, then we do offer a couple shapes. This is the shape D, which is semi-traditional, and or no, C, I'm sorry, and this is D. Looks a little more traditional. A is really a kind of a simple design. I have to say that I'm pretty sure A is closest to the original Monet designs, like their second series of designs. And we offer other shapes, like here this is H, which is a very smooth curved design. This is very efficient. And here's I, which is an even more efficient version. That's the 5/8 inch taper, and this is the 3/4 inch taper. So hopefully that answers your question, Aaron. We don't make traditional mouthpieces or trumpets or anything, really because we're not a traditional company. So I'm going to go back to some of these questions before I continue, because I know I missed a few. Okay. Adrian says, why not a traditional body shape? I think you just got that answer. What do I do in regard to sleeve or gap? That's Eric. Sorry I didn't see your question earlier, Eric. We make the backbores in different lengths, so the shank part can be shorter or longer, and we can close the gap with that system. However, if you own a Harrelson trumpet, you don't need to change any of this. If you use the Venturi gap receiver, which we have a ton of those out there installed on people's horns, then you don't have to change this. You would just change the insert in your VGR. If you don't know what a VGR is, I would definitely Google that or look on our website, because it is a game changer. It literally changes the way you play, allowing you to fine-tune your horn so it feels like it fits you like a glove, by controlling the aperture and the impedance ratios at the receiver. And really what that means is you can adjust flexibility, slotting, and airflow in a matter of seconds and find what works best for you with the VGR. If you don't have a VGR and you don't have any other way to adjust gap, you can order the backbores in special lengths, and that's not a problem at all. We just need you to measure it and tell us which size you need. Okay. Let's see. I'm checking any other questions. Thank you, Thaddeus. Yeah, I do. I really care about trumpet players making great music. If I were out to make a fortune, then I would have invented something that costs a lot of money, was easy to make, and that everyone wanted to buy. The simplest possible thing, some kind of widget. That's not me. I really enjoy playing trumpet. I enjoy helping people solve problems, especially with trumpet. The backstory to that is I was an aspiring trumpet player in high school and college. I started when I was a junior in high school. I was the worst player. I sat 13th chair. And then my band director inspired me to practice. I went home and started practicing 4 hours a day the first day. After 1 week, I took first chair. After that, I got moved up to the top band. I worked my butt off. I practiced a ton. I became a performance major at a well-known music school. And then I had lots of embouchure issues that plagued my playing for years. So I set out to figure out why I was having those problems and how I could resolve them. And in studying the physics of the embouchure and solving my embouchure issues, I stumbled upon the physics, of course, of brass instruments and how they play, and the physics of how to improve them and make them more efficient, and how to adjust things like impedance and resonance and efficiency, standing wave efficiency. And in all of that, I became obsessed with helping other people solve their problems. And ironically, I no longer play professionally, even though I'd love to have the time, because I'm busy helping you guys. So that's why I care so much. So Thaddeus' comment is true. I sincerely care about every client. I want each of you to succeed. And that is a very challenging balance in my life, because I'm always innovating. I'm always creating new things, new solutions. But at the same time, I'm working with customers who already ordered things. So the last 6 months have been really tough for us, or 7 months, because we lost 2 of our employees, and there were only 4 people in this company. So then we added Joe, and there were 5 of us. Now there are 4. We added Joe Zimmett, who is an amazing asset. He loves the company, and he has learned so much so quickly. So he can help as well. But now I'm just catching up on trumpet orders. We're tooling up. We're buying another CNC lathe so we can produce more 5mm mouthpieces. And the balancing act continues, where I am working as hard as I can to fulfill all of the difficult trumpet orders while maintaining production on all of our other options, including mod kits and VGR and gap solutions and the 5mm. And the 5mm is at the forefront of our focus right now because Joe has been training on learning to run the machines and even make edits to programs so he can help us produce these faster. The reason that matters is because I think, on our order list, since we launched the 5mm a little over a year ago to the public, we've had something like between orders and reorders, I don't know, like maybe 700 orders. And for a 4-person company, that's a lot of orders in a year. And we expect to have, well over 1,000 orders this year. So in order to keep up with all that demand, we're training Joe to run the machines. Christine is an expert on fitting as well, as is Joe. And we're really just trying to spread the word so that we can make that jump to owning a second machine to make these. And if we get to that point, things actually get easier because we can produce the parts faster and get them out to you faster, and that's our goal. Okay, yeah, and it is a balancing act. It's kind of crazy. I put in 80 to 100 hours every week here devoted to helping you guys solve your problems and explore new options. And about half of my time is actually spent working on trumpets and not all these other things. So I try to make as many videos as possible and help you every way I can. Sometimes they're on the mouthpiece, sometimes they're on the physics of playing, and regardless, I'm always trying to help. So if you have questions, go ahead and post them or give us a call and we're happy to answer them. Okay, so let's continue. I'm going to show you one more thing on the mouthpiece here. That's the nut. And this mouthpiece is very unique. But you can see there is a nut there, and that nut is to fill the gap on the receiver. I'm going to go grab a receiver so you can see what I mean. All right, here we have a receiver. See if that focuses. I knew it. The phone would start ringing. All right. If you're calling me right now, I apologize. I thought that Joe or Christine would be in by now. Oh, maybe they got it. They might be in the other shop. Okay, so this is a receiver. This is my mouthpiece. Put them in like that. It's a fairly decent fit. It's not perfect. Now, because this is a custom mouthpiece, there's not a lot I can do about it. But if you notice, it's pretty close, and that's because this custom mouthpiece is used in my personal horn, which has one of these receivers. And this is the VGR receiver, so it unscrews from the horn. And we'll try it with another mouthpiece so I can give you another example. Now here you see there's more gap. And this nut tapers down to where it doesn't fit this receiver. In that case, we would take the nut off and we put a cylindrical nut in its place that fills the gap perfectly. So if you order a 5mm, please tell us what brand, what make and model of horn you have. If it's on the VGR system, then we can set you up so you have a nut that has very little external gap and it looks like it's integral. If you have a Bach or a Yamaha or a Monet or something else, then we can make an educated guess because we have measured a lot of those horns over the years. However, the receivers on all those horns are inconsistent. In other words, the mouthpiece might go in further or less. So if it doesn't fit perfect the first try, let us know and we can exchange that nut as well to make sure it fits. Okay, Matt asked, do we have any headway on wedge rims? Honestly, I do not know. I have not heard from Dave about that, but I will check on it and see what's going on because I know we talked like a month ago and we do want to finish those up. We have a box of rims to send out to him as soon as he's ready. So we did make the rims last year to be converted to wedge, and I will check on it and get back to you. Okay, so back to bodies. This one is my personal 5mm that was hand sculpted. So I carved this myself. It wasn't done on a machine. And that's because I don't really have a machine that's going to create that kind of a a pattern and that kind of a surface finish. The machine that could do this, you're looking at spending about $400,000 to $500,000 minimum to really be able to make a mouthpiece like this. So I do it by hand. I've been hand carving mouthpieces and trumpets and parts and you name it since I was a teenager. So I have a lot of experience, but this is not for sale. I don't offer them right now, but I am showing it to you because this is the first mouthpiece that was coated in acoustic armor. And acoustic armor is a really important part of our plan in 2017. This coating is proprietary. It's harder than any other coating that we can use on trumpets and on mouthpieces and mod kits. And it is about 10 times more durable than lacquer. Now you could have the mouthpiece plated. For instance, this one is in raw brass and this one is in silver. So you could have it plated, but then you have tarnish issues. And of course, if you scratch it, things like that can happen. But this coating is so hard and so durable that it's not really going to scratch unless you scratch it with something really hard. And let me try this. Pull my keys out here. So here I'm going to take a key, and it's not scratching it. It's very hard. So this coating is hopefully the future of Harrelson trumpets. This weekend I will spend some time coating the first Harrelson trumpet in acoustic armor as a complete assembly. We've done testing on it, but we have not gotten to the point where we're doing entire trumpets. This one, the rim and the cup were also coated. We don't offer that simply because we do not know for sure if that can be touching your lips, but we know it can be touching your hands. So once a study has been done on that, we can determine whether or not we can offer it on a rim. However, on the trumpet, that will be available. And, all right, I don't know if somebody else is on the line. All right, somebody's got it. So that's acoustic armor. I want to show that off because, in my opinion, this is the coolest stuff since sliced bread. This one is in bronze, and the end is in a type of a silver that I mixed. I don't really have names for these colors yet. I'm still working on that. But this is kind of a cool two-tone look. I could have made the nut in the bronze to match it. I just was having fun and did not. My personal mouthpiece actually is not in bronze. It has a bronze base coat, and then I dusted it with another lighter color, so it is different. You can see that. But acoustic armor is for sure going to be available on mod kits, on 5mm bodies and nuts, and maybe even on receivers and water keys, things like that, for those of you who are ordering Harrelson trumpets. I am not going to be offering this service for non-Harrelson trumpets, and that's because we always have a backlog and we have too much to do, so we are not going to offer that. However, if you own a Harrelson trumpet and you want to have a finish put on it, and as we have time, then we would certainly be happy to help you out with that and see what we can do. Hopefully we can offer those services as well. So that's acoustic armor. These are the parts of the mouthpiece. I'm going to screw them all back together so you can see how that works. I'm just going to put the cup in the rim, screw that together. These parts now fit together. And I'm going to put that back in the body. Let's see, I think it was this one. Screw that in. And then the throat and the cup match up, and they always do every time, and that's because we machine them exactly the right length. And then I'll put the nut back on. And there is a complete 5mm modular mouthpiece. This entire review is really just designed for you to learn about this system if you haven't known about it, and give you an overview of all the latest options. I don't have every option sitting here, but I'm going to go through every one of these bodies, and then I'm going to talk about these finger buttons, which are related. First, if you play piccolo, E-flat, cornet, or even flugelhorn, then you can use this short body. And this body is significantly shorter than the others. All you need to do is take your cup and your rim and screw them in here, and then buy the corresponding shorter throat to fit the shorter body. And you'll need to call us if you're going to do that sometime soon, because we have a chart that makes the conversion so you know which size throat you need. However, we do not have that chart on our website yet. I need to put it up. It's on my to-do list. This one is for C trumpets. So this is the next size. It's the middle size. And then the other size that we have right next to it is for B flat. You can use any of these on any instrument based on your experience and what you need in terms of intonation. A quick overview on that: the shorter the instrument, typically the shorter the mouthpiece, and that does affect intonation on most instruments for most people. However, if you find that you're always playing flat on your horn, on your B flat, you could go to a C body, and that may help it. There are some horns that are out there that have been built a little bit longer than you would like, and you're always pushing your tuning slide all the way in, then that might be an opportunity to use a shorter body. However, if you used this body on a B flat, most of you would go out of tune between registers. Okay. Hopefully that answers some questions that you may have thought of already. These are style A. The short ones are available in A and E. This is the B flat version of A, and here's E, and I'll hold them next to each other. Let's pull those two out. Oh, put them this way, sorry. Okay, so A is let's get them right there. A is a 5/8 inch nut, and E is a 3/4 inch nut. We offer two different nut sizes on our bodies because some of you have the larger VGR and some of you have the smaller one. If you don't play a Taylor, a Monat, or a Harrelson, you most likely need to go with the A, the B, or the C style. And these two are C. I didn't pull a B out. The next one is D, E. Mine is actually an E, but once I carved it down, it looks like an A. This one is, let's pull this out. That's a G body. G is my own personal design. That's just for me. So you guys can see it, but they're not for sale. That's okay, because there's cooler stuff out here. This is an H, which is a nice curvy design, and this is an I. The H is in 5/8, the I is in 3/4. And then these two are lightweight bodies. So if you feel like the 5mm is really efficient, projects really well, but you're not hearing enough behind the bell, then you might need a lightweight body. And the lightweight body loses more energy. Everything fits in there just the same. So I'm going to pull this stuff out and put it in one of these lightweight bodies. So here we go. There it is. And now I'll put the backbore in. The only difference is the lightweight bodies do not get a nut. And this is that slippery one. I'm going to grab a different backbore. So the lightweight bodies are designed to not get a nut, and you cannot close that external gap. It doesn't much matter, because if you look at it, there's not much diameter to it anyhow. But that's what it looks like when it's fully assembled. So these give you more feedback behind the horn. If you want some sizzle and pop, then you want a lightweight body. All right, so that covers all the variations of the bodies that I have sitting here. I skipped a couple because I didn't have them here in the showroom. I also said I would mention these finger buttons. Does anyone know why those are there? Let's see if we can get that to focus on these. Maybe I'm going to hold one up. These are dichroic glass finger buttons, and these are the latest, greatest, cool thing that we are offering. We will be launching our Kickstarter finally, it looks like in March, and they will be 4 dichroic glass finger buttons to fit Harrelson, Getzen, Bach, Yamaha, and I think there's one other brand that they will fit as the standard Kickstarter campaign. Other sizes are available. We offer them for every make and model, but they won't be part of the Kickstarter. They'll be after that. And dichroic glass finger buttons are just really cool. I've spent many years trying to find a way to do these, and an amazing inventor called me up one day and said that he can solve my problem, and he did. So now we can cut these and make dichroic glass finger buttons. They are not hard glass. So these are technically a softer material, and that's how we achieve those results. However, they're very durable, and the cool thing is they can't chip or really break. So the dichroic glass finger buttons apply to the 5mm. Why? Well, that's because we are offering every single person who purchases a 5mm modular mouthpiece between now and the end of our promotion, we're offering them a $100 gift certificate, as well as the opportunity to be in a drawing to win a set of dichroic glass finger buttons. And we will be giving away 10 sets of dichroic glass finger buttons, as well as gift cards valued at $500, $1,000, and $250. And we're giving away a New York Bach Stradivarius from 1930 that's been fully restored. We're giving away all of those things to 100 people who participate in this promotion. And the promotion's almost done. I think we have something like 60 orders, and we anticipate that the last 40 entries will probably happen fairly quickly, because every time we run a contest, as we get closer to the ends, then things start to go crazy. So if you're considering a 5mm modular mouthpiece, keep in mind you will get a $100 gift certificate that you can use for extra parts after you get your initial set. And you would also be entered into that drawing. We're giving away 15 prizes, so your odds in winning are 15 in 100. And that is a pretty cool deal. It's not often that I give away that much to promote something, but we are promoting the 5mm modular mouthpiece very hard right now, because the proceeds from this promotion are going directly to purchasing another CNC lathe to produce more mouthpieces. And I will be flying out to Chicago next week to inspect a machine and put in an offer. And if all goes well, we will have a new machine by the end of March. I shouldn't say a new machine. We never really buy anything new because we don't see the value in buying new machines at this time. We'll buy used machines that are in good shape, and I do my homework and save some money. So if you are interested in the 5mm modular mouthpiece, keep in mind you get $100 gift card, your chance to enter some of those other prizes, including that New York Bach Strad, and then we always include a swag pack. We put these together for everybody. They're stickers, I think a magnet or two, a couple Harrelson trumpets pencils that are the right size for musicians, and a pen, and this is like an infomercial, right? You also receive a 5mm modular mouthpiece box. And that's what the box looks like. It is a wooden box to store your mouthpiece in, or store whatever you want in there. But we do include that as well. So I guess I can open back up for questions. Do any of you have any questions for me? Lewis says, would this be easier to use than a SWE elliptical tuning slide? Yes. If you're deciding, you're trying to decide on which components would be the next step for you to improve efficiency or playability, then I would recommend the 5mm modular mouthpiece first, maybe a mod kit or the VGR system second, and a tuning slide would be last, only because I have been so backed up on making my own trumpets that I haven't had time to make more tuning slides, so we don't have any in stock. And if you're already on the list for a tuning slide and you want to switch over to the mouthpiece, then just call us and let us know. If you're really into the tuning slide and you want to buy a mouthpiece, just call us and get a mouthpiece. And I will be making those next round of tuning slides soon. But first I have to finish about 30 or 40 trumpet orders. Okay. Josh Barling asks, what's the best way to decide on the configuration that works best for you? That goes back to what I mentioned quite a while ago when I started this video, and you may not have been here when I mentioned it, and that is just call us. If you call us, our number is 303-657-2747. Call us and talk to us about this. If I missed your call a few minutes ago, I know we had a couple calls, then we'll call you back here in a few minutes when I'm done with the video. But you can talk to Joe, Christine, or I, and tell us what you've been playing, tell us what you want to achieve that's different, and we will make recommendations based on those things. And if you go back and watch the beginning of this video, you'll see a little review on how and why we numbered the different parts the way we did. But the rim is the first thing you want to settle on. So if you're playing on, say, a 5C or a 7C or a 3C, something like that, we'll get you into that range. If you say, I want more comfort on my lips, then we may give you the option to choose a a different profile, something that was scanned from a Monet or a Yamaha or a Schilke or a Warburton that might not be as sharp of a rim as a Bach. And then we'll give you options on the cup depth and the throat and the backbore, but we can make all those recommendations so that when you're working on it and you're playing it, it feels comfortable from the first day. And that's really important to us. So you can see Joe and Christine are sneaking in here, and that means no one did get those phone calls, so we'll get back to you guys. I'm sorry about that. Any other questions before I sign off? It's been fun explaining this once again, and I know quite a few of you already know every single bit of everything I said, and others, it's probably all new to you. So go ahead and post your comments and questions, and I'll get back to you. Christine, can you just get out of the video for a second?
Sorry.
Thanks. All right, thank you. Yeah, just so that we can finish the video up. That'd be easier. Thanks. All right. Keep in mind, you get a $100 gift certificate with every purchase of the 5mm till the end of the contest. I anticipate we will probably get to 100 by the end of this month, so you have a couple weeks left. And again, the easiest way is just give us a call. Thanks.